Well, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for being with us today for our October 2025 Lunch and Learn. I know some of you may have thought you were here to see Dr. Karen Steelman talk about Red Elk site and some dates that we are working on for that site. And as it turns out, we don't have those dates yet. And so this was the perfect time for Karen to be on vacation during the fall. And so she's not able to be with us today, but we are going to be talking about Red Elk as soon as those dates come in. So never fear. But it gave us a little bit of an opening to follow up on three really big announcements that Shumla has just recently made. One being the approval and the finalization of our 5-year 2026 to 2030 strategic plan. Another that Jessica Hamlin, the executive director, will be stepping down from my role at the end of this year to take a role with the Summerlee Foundation, who has been a really strong supporter of Shumla for many years. And finally, the launch of our $125,000 matching campaign that we are working to raise, that matched by JW Couch Foundation by the end of the year. And really leaning into Texas Archaeology Month this month in October to try to drive some of that support. So today we thought we'd bring a bunch of Shumla staff members together to talk about where our thoughts and our hearts are as we move into this new chapter that we're entering in the life of Shumla as an organization's life. Um, I have a lot of emotions, as you can imagine, about moving into the new role, and wanted to make sure everyone knew that our Shumla Governance Committee is very actively beginning the process to find my successor, and job postings are going to be going out hopefully next week after the board approves the position announcement. So that's exciting. Um, but for me, my really predominant sense right now is a really strong feeling of hope for Shumla's future. Um, this incredible team, this engaged board of directors, so many of whom are here with us today, and directed and empowered by a really solid strategic plan and an experienced and energetic new leader who is on the horizon that we are going to find diligently. I just think, you know, this will be an unstoppable group and our trajectory will be something to behold. The wonders that the rock art will reveal and the wonders that our Shumla staff will reveal are going to be incredible. Um, and all they really need is the continued support of our community, of all of you, especially now during our matching campaign. Um, so yes, so now what I'd like to do, I'm going to basically turn it over to each of our staff members in turn to tell you a little bit about what they're most excited about in Shameless Future, things about our strategic plan or our path that they are really looking forward to. And if you will think of questions, we definitely will have plenty of time for questions. You can type them in the chat, you can write them down for yourself. We're going to go through all of the various staff members and then we'll open it up for questions at the end. So today we're going to start with Amanda Castaneda. She is our archaeology director. Take it away, Amanda.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, so Jessica asked us to kind of look at our strategic plan. We had a big palaver several weeks ago now where we sat in a room for, I don't know, 8 hours maybe. And we went through each goal of the strategic plan and dreamed and schemed and talked about the different things that we want to accomplish in these next 5 years under those goals. So I'm going to talk about a goal. It's number one on our list, but it's not necessarily priority wise, although it is a very big one. It's near and dear to our heart, and that's Shumla's digital archive is permanently and securely curated. So that has been a goal forever for us as an organization. But it's more complicated than you might imagine. And so to really talk about the goal and the importance of it, I have to go back into the history a little bit. And so, Carolyn, I'm sorry if I take some of what you wanted to say later, but I mean, Shumla was born in 1998, but Shumla began doing continuous long-term documentation starting in about 2008, so about 10 years into our existence. That's when the first major grants came in. That's when the first dedicated staff was hired. There were a couple field schools, 2006, 2007, but 2008 brought the Lower Pecos Rock Art Recording and Preservation Project. We've got better at naming our projects. We don't make them mouthfuls anymore. Um, and it was during that time, 2008 to 2010, 2012-ish, where we really fleshed out our recording processes and those early methodologies that really laid the groundwork for what we do today. Um, at that time, we were doing what we now consider to be kind of level two documentation. So that's when we would go into a site and every single figure on the wall, every anthropomorph, every zoomorph, every enigmatic would get get a unique identifier, would get a series of photographs, often at least four photographs, and that was for a very small figure. It would get its own illustration, it would get its own notes, and we would collect 150 pieces of attribute data on that figure. And so it was a huge amount of effort. And so we did that for almost 30 sites from basically 2008 to 2016 or so. In 2017, we switched our tactics a little bit. We had been looking at the trees, and then we realized we also should look at the forest. We realized that yes, we had been spending so much time and good time on these 30 sites collecting so much data, but there were over 350 known rock art sites in Val Verde County, and we had data for, only 30 of them. So we changed to what y'all might know as the Alexandria Project, where we did baseline documentation and we had to kind of think about it all over again. Okay, well, what do you do differently when you're trying to hit a lot of sites in succession? But again, we're still collecting massive amounts of data, photographs, gigapans, 3D models, all of those things. And then since 2020, we've kind of done a combination. When we get access to new sites we've never been to before, we do baseline. If we have sites that we think need to go to a higher level, I mean, obviously that's the end goal for all of them, but some sites are maybe more threatened than others or have really important iconographic data that we're trying to get a good record of. And so we'll do those higher levels of documentation. All the stuff you probably have heard about more recently, the digital microscopy, the graphic databases like Deanna talked about last month, um, Harris matrices, all of that stuff. So I wanted to give that background just to kind of demonstrate to say that we have tons of data. Since 2008, we have collected and we now manage over 80 terabytes of data. And so it's a huge responsibility, right? This is curation of that data is imperative for two different reasons. I mean, one, because our goal is to digitally preserve these sites for the future in perpetuity. These sites won't last forever. Eventually, I mean, it could be thousands of years from now, and let's hope it is long past our time, but these sites will eventually degrade and weather away. And so to have this documentation as it is now, 2025 or earlier, is really important. And then the second reason is for future research, for researchers right now, and today, but also researchers decades from now who want to use this data to learn more about the lifeways and the ideas of the people who lived in the Lower Pecos. So to make progress towards that goal of, I'm going to make sure I say it all the way, Shumla's digital archive is permanently and securely curated. So to make progress towards that goal, there's several things that we're going to have to do in the next 5 years. One of the things we would like to do is hire a curation manager. We had Kelsey for a long time, and she was so wonderful. Due to family matters, she moved out of the state, and we're very sad. We miss her all the time, but we know there's other professionals out there who have the same heart and interest in doing this work. But we really need someone who knows that kind of realm, right? We have to be thoughtful in what we curate, what types of file types is appropriate or mandatory. We're not necessarily going to curate every single thing that's in every site folder, right? Because we have a lot of crew photographs and maybe things that aren't necessary to be curated because it all costs money, of course. In-house cleaning of data and data hygiene, making sure that the data that we are curating feels really strong and we're sure, I mean, I can't say there'll be zero errors, but try to minimize as many errors as possible. Um, and then find a location to do this, in the next 5 years. And that sounds sort of simple, but when you get into the nitty-gritty of it, it becomes increasingly more complicated. Archaeologists, typical archaeologists curate stuff, things, physical objects. So curation in that realm is very well established. When you go to a curation facility, they have all the details and the processes worked out for pest control and boxes and labels and things like that. But digital born data is something that is much more new in archaeology. And that's basically all that we create is digital born data. And so it's stuff I'm even less comfortable with: servers, disks, drives. And honestly, a lot of curation professionals are trying to wrap their minds around what this is going to look like in the future. So just the other day, the Council of Texas Archaeologists Curation Committee sent out a survey that was asking about people's digital curation needs because they're trying to put forth guidance and things. So thankfully, this is becoming a much wider topic. I think I'm probably going over my time, but one thing I want to say that goes along with curating all of Shumla's data for prosperity, for the public, for researchers. Another goal of ours is to have Shumla contribute more frequently to the wider sphere of our discipline. We have so much, there's countless projects that are available in that data that we house right now on this computer. And for Shumla researchers to be able to publish original research, I think is going to be really important. I did want to share really briefly before I move on, or before I give up my time slot. Since Karen couldn't be here, I wanted to share what she had sent to me. And it goes along with sort of new research and publishing. And she said, personally, I am so excited to get back to my laboratory to explore new chemical techniques to answer archaeological questions. Karen would love to build a mobile laboratory with some of the new portable instrumentation that's available. So portable Raman, portable XRD, and then collaborating with Shumla archaeologists and also other researchers to answer questions like, can we chemically identify the organic binders in the paint? How are pigments processed? Can you tell if they've been heated to change the color? So on and so forth. And so in the next 5 years, definitely be keeping an eye out for some more chemical type news as well. So I think with that, I'm going to
Absolutely.
hand it over.
Very, very, very good points. Yes, very excited about that. Now we're going to pass it over to Dr. Diana Radio Rolon and hear what she has to say about the future.
Hello,
Yeah.
everybody. Well, I'm excited. I'm excited to share today one of the big plans that Shumla has. Everything, well, when was in Comstock in 2021, Shumla got a donation. It was the Terry Saders collection, and it contained many photos and maps and documents that he collected during some visits in Mexico, in Coahuila, uh, during the 90s. So it is a big collection with several rock art sites documented. So in 2023, we digitized the whole collection and compiled a list of sites featuring Pecos River style, but of course there are sites that feature other styles too. But we keep an eye on the sites with Pecos River style rock art. So we have now the list, and we have a corresponding map with the sites. So, and the idea is to use that information and create a project or design a project to try to document the sites using the Shumla's rock art documentation method. But the point here is that we need to consider different things, permissions and situations to go to Mexico. But the point I want to highlight here is why it's important to document the sites south of the river. Is because Shumla believes that we are missing important information. We are missing part of the story because there are many sites south of the river that sites deserve to be documented. Most of the signs have been reported by caverns, hunters, or the owners in the ranch over there, but not by archaeologists most of the time. So their documentation of those sites is not, it doesn't follow a consistent method. So to us, it's important to complete the story or try to document more sites south of the river. And when we know Coahuila has sometimes has a difficult terrain. It's not easy, and we know that between the canyons and the river, a little more canyons, we're gonna find huge, big mountains, the Sierra de Burros. It's not an easy terrain. So that's the reason sometimes to explore those sites demands more than hours. It could be days.
Hmm.
Days to go to the sites and stay there and explore the sites. And the Sierra is not easy to climb sometimes, but the sites are protected there. So are waiting for documentation. And it's part of the Shumla goals to document the sites to preserve them. And that's the reason, the most important reason that we wanna go, always following the permissions and procedures that we need to follow there. So the sites have been reported, but not properly documented. So that's the reason we wanna go, and we have our research goals, or part of our research questions too, is how far south does the Pecos River style um, extended south and maybe southwest. So that's a big research question, and we can explore more about how far
Hmm.
south the Pecos River style is extended.
Absolutely. There's so much left to learn, isn't there?
It is, and well, we are ready to go. We have the map, we have the list of sites. We are trying to build relationships there
Hmm.
and
That's the
go.
key. Yep.
Mhm.
Well, thank you so much, Gianna. That's wonderful. And yes, such a dream. And building those relationships will be so much easier with you on our side. David, David Keim, would you please speak your piece?
I mean, I guess so. Um, so the thing that I am most excited about with this new strategic plan that we have is the education and outreach that we get to do going forward. And it kind of piggybacks on what Deanna and Amanda already talked about, getting this data, getting this information, understanding the rock art, where it is, why it's there. But when you think about the big picture of things, once we collect this data, if we're not sharing it, it's just ones and zeros in a computer and no one's ever going to see it. So that's a big part of what we're going to work towards in the future. And so some of the things that we might do going forward is expanding to a volunteer program that makes this more accessible to people. Not just in the field doing rock art recording, but also here in San Marcos at our office where people can get almost hands-on views of the rock art. They can understand more what we're doing and why we're doing it, and also getting to help out. We have lots of illustrations to do in the coming years. Um, we want to make our presence known in more communities outside of just Comstock or the San Marcos area, and we've been doing that a lot more this year already. Dr. Steelman and myself did presentations at the Whitty Museum earlier this year. We've had interns and volunteers go to the Bob Bullock Museum in Austin, and also at the Wildflower Center, and doing presentations on what Shumla does and doing fun interactive activities for adults and children alike. Next month, myself and Robert Stein, who is currently in class, we're going to go out to the Whitehead Museum in Del Rio and talk more about what we're doing. Getting this information out to groups is important because otherwise people aren't going to know what information we have, where to find it, or even that it exists at all, the rock art that is. We want to work with more descendant communities going forward. We want to be able to include the people who are the descendants of these ancient artists and hunter-gatherer groups and make sure that their stories are told well and that they are included in the work that we do. And that's important to us because we can't tell everyone's story to the fullest extent. We're only one part of it, and we need culture to back the science in some places. Something that this phrase came with Amanda when she came back to Shumla was a presentation to publication pipeline. And it's something that I'm kind of falling in love with because it makes things so much more streamlined and it's being implemented now. This past weekend, Deanna, Robert, and I, and Amanda were all at the Texas Archaeological Society's annual meeting. Amanda was doing presentations. Deanna, Robert, and I presented a poster, and then we're going to continue with that research that we're doing, and we're going to take it to SAA next April, and then hopefully after that, publish a paper on the work that we're doing. I've got a few more things. We're working with educators on curriculum development. Mandy Newport, who was an intern with us, who's now a PhD student at Texas State, is working on curriculum regarding the rock art in the Lower Pecos and helping school-age children understand the archaeology of their place and of Texas. We're working with interns. Since we've moved to San Marcos, we've had a lot of really good interns come in, not just from Texas State University, but from around the state, and they're learning new skills that they may have not otherwise been able to access because Comstock, although is a wonderful place to learn about the rock art and you're in the setting, it is very remote. And it's sometimes hard to give up 10 weeks of your life to go live out in the desert and be an archaeologist or a chemist. So we're giving these opportunities to more students and creating the next generation of rock art archaeologists. I've got two more things. So one big thing that I've really enjoyed is getting to work with landowners and going forward, working with these landowners and even public agencies like universities or the Texas Parks and Wildlife, NPS. We're giving them the information they need to interpret and not only protect their sites, but educate others on what resources they have on their properties and just to have a better understanding of what they possess, because 95% of Texas is privately owned and landowners deserve to know the cultural significance of their property. People who work in the public agencies probably already know and they're doing their best to protect it, but we're doing our due diligence in making sure they have up-to-date information and the quality research to back what they're saying to other people. And the last thing, and I'm sure it'll get a little bit of excitement, is that we want to bring back treks, maybe not in the format that we had in the past, maybe a revised version, maybe we partner with other groups and make it more efficient and make it extend to a larger audience. Maybe we do more virtual treks. Maybe we get bigger groups 1 or 2 times a year as opposed to 4 weekends in a row. We want to do this because we care about getting information about the rock art. We want to educate, because in the end, if we don't educate, we're just collecting information for nothing. And that's all I got.
Wonderful. Thank you, David. That was wonderful. Now I'm going to turn it over to Emil Zuberbuehler, who has been with Shumla for many, many years to share some of his thoughts.
Hey, everybody.
Hello.
So by my calculation, this is number 48, Lunch and Learn.
Oh,
Some of you I see today have probably been on all of them. I won't name you. I think I've missed, in that time, which we started in 2021, I've missed 3. Being the person in the background, I usually don't speak up, keep myself muted and the video off. But Just wanted to share a little bit today. I was on the board for 12 years, 7 of those as chair, and this is when Carolyn was, she still is our founder, but she was there every meeting. She was the director, executive director. And I remember the day that she said to the board very clearly, on this date, I don't remember what day it was, Carolyn, you would. She said, as of this day, I will no longer be executive director. You, the board, need to replace me. And so we were all a little bit freaked out for a while because Carolyn, of course, had been there forever. We're glad she's still here, taking part in many of these lunch and learns. With Jessica leaving, there obviously were going to be changes. That's what happens with any kind of leadership change with an organization. We've got a great team. We will miss Jessica, and we've got a great team, and we'll carry on. You've heard from Deanna, Amanda, David, the things that we've been doing that we do well. And so we will continue doing that as the board, many of you on here today, thank you. Look for another executive director that will lead Shumla to the next place. I'm going to note this because I've had many discussions about it in the past with other people. We're now, I think, leaving the arena, if you will, of having a founders board.
Mhm.
Early on, we were on the board because we knew Carolyn personally and were committed to what she was doing at the time. There are new board members who maybe have just recently met Carolyn. So that's also a huge step for Shumla to move in that direction. It's a very natural progression, but it also can be very difficult. And so I think, Jessica, thank you the past few years being part of, helping the board do that, and the board members who have been here a while, moving the board along to that place.
Absolutely.
And I do want to welcome, as a former board member, welcome the new board members. We're thrilled to have you on board, no pun intended, to continue to lead the way and help us do as a staff what it is that we do. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Emil. Could never have said it better. Just fantastic. So we're going to close out the thoughts that we're going to share today with the founder that Emil was just talking about. Carolyn's going to say a few words, and then we're going to open it up for questions and also for thoughts and things that maybe board members or even other supporters and folks are excited about for Shumla's future. But Carolyn, please.
Thanks. Well, thank you everyone for being here today. And I just thank every one of these incredible staff for what they've shared. I can't tell you what it does to my heart to hear them speak with such excitement about the future. I feel it and I believe in it very strongly. And I think one of the things that I thought about as I was preparing for today was I thought, how in the world can we not be excited about Shumla's future when we look at Shumla's past? And what I started thinking about was, where were we 28 years ago? What did we know then? How far have we come? And so I reflected back to 28 years ago and remembering some of the attitudes surrounding the rock art that was present then, things that you've heard me talk about before, the idea that it was the prevailing view that these murals were just a random collection of images painted over hundreds or thousands of years, that the paintings were mostly produced by shamans under the influence of in an altered state of consciousness, or painting the experience post the altered state of experience. I will never forget the time I was on a tour and a well-known archaeologist said to the crew, to the group of people that were on the tour, that something to the effect of, these paintings were produced during times of leisure, when all the necessary activities of the day were done. The people came up here and they painted on the wall. Certainly, they also thought that we would never know what they mean, that they were way beyond interpretation. It's hard to imagine that that's where we were, but that is where we were. And I'm so thrilled that that's not where we are now. But those attitudes, I think, really contributed to the fact that at that time, there was no single organization dedicated to preserving the rock art, to document, to study, and to share the rock art. And maybe it was also some prevailing attitudes that hunter-gatherers were just, these simple folks trying to eke out a meager existence in the lower Pecos. But whatever it was, there was nothing in place to get these sites properly documented. And then comes Shumla. And you've heard some of what we've accomplished. When I started to go through the process of just kind of doing a quick survey of some of the things that we've done, I was frankly blown away. So as you know, we've got 80 terabytes of data. And that 80 terabytes of data is top of the line. It's stored on top of the line hardware with the best software. We have offsite redundant backup of all of this 80 terabytes. And not only that, we even have cold storage backup to make sure that in the case of some cyber threat, you can't get it. You can't hijack it. We've got it that well protected, which is beautiful. It includes the baseline documentation of over 250 sites, which includes 3D models and the big gigapanoramas, so that if something happened to one of these sites, we could reproduce it basically from the ground up. We have photos of the individual figures and all of their accoutrements, like what Amanda was talking about. But not only that, not only are we documenting at this great big level, part of that data is microscopic information that's helped us to unravel the painting sequence, to understand how they went about creating these murals. It's phenomenal. We have figure illustrations. We have deep digital reconstructions of entire murals. We have a robust data set of the iconographic inventory that's being used to help fuel research questions right now. We have been radiocarbon dating. We now know that the rock art dates back almost 6,000 years, and it continued in production for 4,500 years. But not just that. Through the Hearthstone Project, we found that it's 4,500 years, but within each site, the radiocarbon dates that we collected within each site were statistically indistinguishable, supporting the idea that these are compositions, that these are narratives. So it's narratives. Each one is a book. And we have 4,500 years of books yet to explore and to read. And now we're finding that we can work with Indigenous folks who are able to still read these murals, who know these stories. The stories didn't die when the people that painted the murals passed away. The stories are still alive in the Indigenous communities today. And now we're able to work with them to help understand and learn more and more about what these stories are. So what is, from all of this, what have we done? The Lower Pecos now, thanks to the hard work of Shumla and a lot of partners, is a National Historic Landmark, received that status of National Historic Landmark status for the Lower Pecos Archaeological District. That's phenomenal. What a huge accomplishment. We are collaborating now with so many different agencies, so many different people. We have so many different landowners that we're working with. It's just incredibly exciting. I started doing just a quick survey of how many people have we impacted. And I found that through Emil's help and others, we've had over 48 interns that have come through Shumla. This resulted in about 10 theses, different master's theses or honors theses that have been written. We have upwards of 50 publications that we've generated, hundreds of presentations that have been given over the past 28 years. And these are not just presentations at professional conferences, but through the efforts of Shumla to reach the public. So they're everything from Rotary Club to classrooms, to lunch and learns, to archaeological societies, to house parties, to you name it. Shumla is there to share the information. We've had 6 museum exhibits since its founding. The first ones that Jessica was a part of back in Bryan College Station. And the most recent, we even had a beautiful exhibit in Altamira at the Altamira Museum in Spain. And that one is now available online as well. And of course, the beautiful exhibit at the Whitty Museum, the Museum of Natural History and Science in Houston, and so forth. We served over 10,000 children through our Pecos River Kids program, and 1,500 of those children were in Mexico and Acuña through the Niños del Rio Bravo project that we did there. The Shumla Scholars program that we've done. You know, I could go on and on. It's just, so how can we not be excited about Shumla's future when we see this trajectory? This tells us the direction Shumla's going. There is no stopping us. So what am I excited about? I'm excited about everything that everybody brought up here today. I'm absolutely on board with all of them. So there's no reason to go back through and reiterate them all. But I can say that one of the things I'm also looking forward to is that I know I can be confident in the help of our community that we will be able to establish a $10 million endowment to be able to reach sustainability. Shumla needs to be in a position, so it's not every year working to raise $750 to $1 million for its annual budget. We desperately, desperately need that $10 million endowment. And I am confident that we'll be able to do it. And I'm confident that we're going to find that executive director that's going to come in and carry the beautiful work that Jessica has already, the foundation that she's already led, into a whole new level. And so, yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited about where we were, where we are, and where we're going. And I guess that's it.
Thank you, Carolyn. It is exciting. It's very, very exciting. So yes, thank you so much, all of you, for sharing. And I'd love to open it up to questions. I will check our chat to see if there are questions there. As I'm looking, if anybody wants to take themselves off mute and ask a question, feel free to do that. I will just or share an excitement that you're feeling. I see Kelly's raising her hand.
Yeah, I was just curious if Carrie, our deputy, has anything she'd like to say about where we're going and what she's excited about.
Thanks, Kelly. I didn't have anything prepared today, but just here to support staff. And yeah, excited for the future.
Absolutely.
Melvin's unmuted now.
Oh, there we go. Melvin, please go
How
ahead.
y'all doing?
Great.
I don't know what all I have to say. I really support Shumla School. I got to go to a class there maybe back in the 2000s or something like that. It was really wonderful. Y'all did a fire pit and had a teepee, and we made little with the quartz or whatever, and then pounded it out and made a little learn how to braid the fibers. We didn't make any sandals or anything, but we got the idea how it was done and how the paintings were done, where you would mix a little bone marrow with and then use the saplings and everything.
Yeah.
and we had a meal together. It was one of the best meals I ever ate. I gotta admit, when you eat turkey that's been eaten at wild oregano, that is some of the best turkey in the world. I'll never
Yeah.
forgot that. That was really amazing. But I'm excited for y'all's future. I hope I wish the very best for y'all. I used to go. I did most all the tours with the Rock Art Foundation when it was there,
Hmm.
and I attended that school with Shumla, and hopefully, I'd like to get back into do some more tours with y'all, some treks, whatever. Um,
Yes.
So
I stay pretty busy. I'm a trip chair for the Awesome Paleo Society, so I'm kind of involved in paleontology, whatever, a lot. So I'm kind of busy on. Take people out about once a month. But archaeology has always fascinated me too. I mean, and I just think y'all do phenomenal work, and I just want you to keep it up. I really love it that you are working with the Native American people. Native American people have a special place in my heart, and that you're learning that they still know some of these stories. I
Hmm.
think that's really wonderful. I think that we kind of a lot of ways pushed them aside and kind of said, well, that culture, you know, without getting into it or not politics or anything, but there's something to learn that they still know. They still remember these
that's right.
things. And we have so much to learn. And I'm just excited to see people, y'all continue this. I don't know what else to say, but God
Thank you,
bless
Thank
you.
you.
Melvin.
Keep it up. Keep up the
Thank
work.
you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Um, we do have two comments. We have one from Anne that says, yes, bring Trex back. So she went to Halo and loved that. And Kelly asking about plans for facilities. And those plans, um, for our facility in San Marcos, we're currently planning on staying where we are on the campus of Texas State University, and continuing the use of our properties in Comstock. We have a guest house where our staff stay when they're out in the field and in that region. We also have our office in Comstock, and we have our field campus out a little west of the Pecos. And so yes, all of those facilities will definitely be continue to be used in the future. Do we have any other questions or thoughts? Dan.
Yeah, I'd like to say something if I could. I'm a new board member, and I got to know Shumla through the Trex program, and I'm all the way over in Houston, quite far away from Comstock. But I've just as I got to know Shumla, felt that the message, the story, um, that Shumla is trying to accomplish was really very compelling. And I think that I would like to help in some way to expand the fundraising, into places like Houston, corporations that are here where they may have heard of Shumla for sure, but they maybe haven't been updated lately, and that there's a chance that I can, encourage them to support Shumla in financial ways. And that's why I joined the board. And I'm sure there's other board members as well that have expanded that geographical reach in Texas. So I'm very excited the new board is going to move us into new areas.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
wonderful.
Yes. Thank you so much. It's wonderful.
Hey, Jess.
Yes.
I just want to say real quick, great job by the staff today. Thanks, Dr. Boyd, for being on here. And thanks all the board members that could join us today. We wanted to make sure that we were supporting everyone and being visible and being there for you. And everybody that joined us that's not a part of the Shumla staff or board, we're really excited that you come and enjoy the lunch and learns and get excited about the treks. We want y'all to come out and be in the lower Pecos with us. It's quite honestly one of my favorite things too. I know the value of getting y'all out in the lower Pecos Canyon lands and seeing it firsthand. So yes, Ann and Melvin, we are going to be doing treks and they're going to be super fun and we're going to ply you with great food.
Absolutely. Dwayne,
Jessica,
yeah.
a couple comments in response to Carolyn. I'm here on the board. I've agreed to join the board as a new member. I've respected the work that Carolyn's done for the last 2 decades. and the more I get involved with it, you know, Carolyn and her staff are they're doing true anthropology. It isn't just archaeology. It's, you know, they're real anthropologists. And to be quite honest, there's only a few of us that are real anthropologists. Some people get way too caught up in the stones and bones. So it's, I think it's a very worthy endeavor. And I will, I'm eager to help as much as I can to help find that funding. Um, a comment from Amanda, she was talking about the eventual, full preservation of the data and making it accessible. Amanda, I've gotten into the curation report to a certain level. I can't admit that I've read every page. That's a very dense document. But do you have you personally have an inclination on the direction of that curation should go at this point, or are you like me? You're still trying to figure out what the options are.
I'll be real honest, I'm definitely on the latter half like you, because I haven't even had time to delve into Kelsey's document. So as part of when we were, we sat down and had that 8 hour palaver and talked about the next 5 years, it's obviously a very overwhelming situation because all of it is laid there out there in front of you. So and then our next step in this past month and in the coming months before 2026 is to lay out achievable steps and goals to meet those bigger goals. And so it's on my to-do list before the end of 2025 to really dive into Kelsey's documentation that she started, because I know she laid out quite a few options and different avenues and things. But I mean, I think ideally in my mind, just off the top of my head, I think we want the most important data to go to curation, but then we also we want folks to be able to access it for research. And so how do you navigate those two things? Is that done all through the curation facility? Is it something separate where Shumla also has sort of like an apply to access this database? I mean, there's just so many routes you could go, and all of it includes a lot more technical things than I'm comfortable with. We're talking like coding, programming, and of course, big dollar signs that come with that. So, but I'd love to hear your thoughts as you think of them, or send me a jotted up copy of that document when you're done with it. Your bedtime reading.
Yeah. And we
I'm
can
not-
add Dwayne to the Curation Advisory Council
Yeah.
because we did develop a Curation Advisory Council during Kelsey's tenure, and that was before Dwayne had joined the board. So it definitely is time to look at updating those that are on that council, and a real good argument for why we need to fill the curation role, because it is very specific role, and we can't expect Amanda to do all of it. So, yes, really excited about when it's time to fill that role.
Good.
Thank you, Dwayne.
You're welcome.
Well, I just appreciate all of you so much. I am so excited about Shumla's future. I'm excited to be a part of it in a different way, and to continue to be a supporter. And for all of y'all that are on here, the easiest way to support us is at shumla.org/donate. And we will really be looking forward to sharing with you our movements forward, and including you in them in so many different ways. So thank you so much for being here today. And if you've come up with other questions for us, never hesitate to reach out, info@shumla.org. And thanks again.